Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen!
I'm Shonny Constant, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Bean.
Kayfabe, motherfucker.
Kayfabe, motherfucker! We are basking in the glory.
In the glory!
Of the opulent Wrestle Palace Chandelier.
Wrestle Palace!
Monkeys fight prison style, dude.
Boom shakaloo!
The scariest of all clowns. Murder Clown.
It's like we've said previously on the show.
Meteora.
Fat! You got a fat ass! It's like he's covered drinking!
Baba Bear's got a big old neck. It's a work. It's a work. And this is the One Fall Show.
Is that a good segue? Speaking of falling apart, let's talk about Money in the Bank.
What a weird show.
Yeah.
You know, somewhere after the Becky Lynch long form mid segment,
Sure.
the second act.
Yeah, the second act of the Becky Lynch show.
I was like, this is just a strange show, the way it was all unfolding and popping off. I had expected to be very excited by the show, and I was not. Mm-hmm. I was not unhappy to the point where I was disappointed that I was watching it, but I was like, this is very strange. This is not, I was expecting a different feeling than I'm getting out of this whole thing.
Sure.
And then, of course, the end came.
Yeah, well,
and,
yeah, it's I have mixed feelings about the end because let's start at the ending, I guess, because on one hand, yeah, that's some bullshit. It's specifically done to piss off marks and wrestling fans and podcast people like ourselves.
Sure.
But at the same time, I am constantly impressed with the internet's capability to take 3 seconds of video or audio and turn it into something absolutely hilarious. Brock Lesnar coming out Monday carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase like
a boombox.
Like a boombox, and like by the time I watched, here's a little behind the scenes footage for you guys. Okay, so I work midnights on Monday night, so I do not get to watch Raw live. I watch Raw starting at midnight and, until about 3 a.m. By 3 a.m., there were already 2 videos of Brock Lesnar boomboxing different songs.
Nice.
By Tuesday morning, there were 5 of them, and all of them are great. Every one of them make me laugh, whether it's Brass Monkey or Billy Ellich's Bad Guy. Every one of them are perfectly timed and hilarious and make me laugh. Plus, people pulling out Brock Lesnar in a sombrero from years and years ago when he was feuding with Eddie Guerrero and putting it with that footage. Brock Lesnar is capable of so much physical comedy, and I want to say I don't know that he's aware of it, but he has to be aware of it.
Like vaguely, right? Like
Yeah.
He's being his best to be hilarious, which essentially is roided up dad joke hilarious.
Right.
Not very. However, when you have the internet trolls putting a spin on it, any good comedy team, one person is the seed and then the other is the watering can.
Right.
And I see that. I was excited by that ending because I decided that with Double or Nothing coming up, I'm fucking checking out.
Yeah.
I am done.
Really?
So they thought, Vince McMahon got double his money on that one. Not only did he piss me off, but I'm just not watching his dumb show anymore.
Okay, so by being done, what are the terms?
Well, I have watched every Raw and SmackDown for about the last 5 years.
Yep.
Before this SmackDown, which I have not seen.
Okay.
I'll still follow the product as much as I feel like following the product, but
Sure.
I'm no longer making it my job.
Yeah.
I will cover AEW from here to the end of time. If
Right.
People want to hear anything about the indies, I will cover that. And I will give my 2 cents. I'll, keep my finger on the pulse.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like I don't get enough articles from clickbait to understand what's going on.
Fair enough. No, and this is not at all a call out against you, but there's constantly people after every single show, no matter how good or bad it is, saying well, I'm done.
Sure.
Canceling my network, I'm done, kind of thing. So that's why I was like, what are the terms? Are you still going to watch a takeover in 2 weeks?
Takeover, I will be watching, but I'm going to be out of town. So.
Okay, because I feel like Takeover is the loop, or NXT is the loophole.
Yeah, for sure. NXT is great stuff. The problem is that it's just such a slow pipeline, and once our guys jump from NXT, it's kind of a coin flip of whether they get anything good out of it.
Absolutely.
And I'm just tired of the everything changed, man, when Cody Rhodes said, you've kept us at 35. Now everything I see is 35. When it looked like there was going to be a hardcore title, I was like, this is a clown show. And then it was actually a legitimate clown show.
Oh, totally.
It is the clown show jobber belt. It's fun and it's funny.
Right.
But, like...
It doesn't necessarily elevate anybody, but it does give people camera time. Yes. Which is cool.
And it is very funny. I'm thinking in yakety sax every time.
Absolutely, 100%.
Cut to one of those. Now, the problem I have is Robert Roode was the first. He was the first title holder? Titus O'Neil, and then Robert Roode took it from him. To me, if Robert Roode had been the one who came down and took the Money in the Bank I would have been so excited.
Yeah, if it would have been absolutely. Well, I'm sure if it would have been almost anybody else other than Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, for me, I guess that's kind of the case.
No way Jose could have conga lined his way down to ring.
I would have. Yes, I would have. I would have been less disgusted with it, but I still would have not been very excited about it. Like, I want to see there seems to definitely be a situation where there is a wrestling mindset of booking and a Vince McMahon mindset of booking.
100%.
He is the circus, and professional wrestling is the carnies. I like the carnies. I like the little less refined, a little less polished,
right?
A little less controlled.
Well, it's the kind of thing that we've talked about multiple times on this show, the difference between watching an NXT show and watching a mainline WWE product.
Sure.
And that's where I can't believe the idea took this long to take hold in my brain, but I completely remember when I came back to wrestling in the 2000s and I watched WrestleMania 16 and then 17 and 18 and something like that. There was definitely a peak moment, and it very, very much was around the time when WCW closed its doors. There was a peak moment where, wrestling was as hot as it was going to be for the next decade. And then over the next couple of years, they slid back what you would call the work rate. The matches got slower. They went multiple segments suddenly instead of just being, look, you've got one segment and either you've got 11 minutes or you've got 5 minutes because we got a different thing going on in the segment, TV wise. But part of the reason after years and years of watching it got to the point where like year to year, I would constantly be like, man, last year was so much better than this year. And then a year later, man, last year was even better than this year. And I didn't even like last year kind of thing. And I think the reason for that was to a degree to try and protect the performers. Like, look, we've been going balls out to try and make sure these guys don't put us out of business. And then once we started winning, we went balls out to make sure we put them out of business. And now that we don't have that game to play, okay, now we don't have to risk concussions and constant injury and stuff like that. So let's pull it back. And I feel like in a different way, that's what's going on now. I feel like they're pulling back the weekly television product to push you to the network.
Could be some of that, yeah. There's definitely a balance that they internally want to keep in terms of metrics and things like that.
Right.
Vince McMahon has said that 205 Live is going to stick around because he wants, network-only content.
Right.
Regardless of whether people are watching it or not. You're going to naturally wax and wane, right? Like when you have a never-ending weekly product,
right?
Every viewer is going to have some wavelength that they're on, from the height of their enjoyment of the thing and the bottom of the lows.
Oh, for sure.
As a bipolar person, I tend to thrash around a lot, so that's not uncommon for people who have known me for a very long time, but. Yeah, it's just not doing it for me. They came out and had that announcement that we're going to be getting what we want as fans, and that was it's not as though I was expecting. Well, of course, me as an individual, I'm going to get everything I want, and every other individual out there is going to get exactly what they want.
Sure.
That's preposterous. But it just it is very clearly just the same old WWE product. The fact that you were free of Brock Lesnar and you brought him back does nothing for me. I get Brock Lesnar a little more than I did. I've a couple of different people who I communicate with have I've done a pretty good job over the last 6 months convincing me of the value of Brock Lesnar in that ecosystem. I'm just tired of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have any use for it. I'm not ever enjoyed the live events as much as I do smaller scale live events.
Sure.
So and that's not looking to change just because of my physical condition.
Well, it's the kind of thing too that everybody comes to wrestling for a different reason. There's there's somebody that I work with that is convinced that this day and age can't hold a candle to the Attitude Era. Like none of these superstars can hold a candle to Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock, which is something Cody addressed in his promo for Double or Nothing coming up this weekend. And I'm done arguing with him about it, but every time he brings it up, I'm like, well, then you were skipping out on AJ Styles and Finn Balor, and even to a degree Andrade, Cien Almas, and and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Like there are plenty of guys that I would put up against a Stone Cold Steve Austin in their prime. Of like, no, I think this guy is probably better all around. But they're like you said, it wasn't a horrible shit show, but it certainly wasn't the consistent surprise or result that you want after, like high spot after high spot that we can expect over the next 2 weeks. And I think to that degree, putting it ahead of this week's Double or Nothing and next week's NXT TakeOver was probably the smartest play.
I guess.
Because you somewhere within those next couple of weeks, you've also got their Saudi Arabia show. And I don't know about you, but ever since the first one, I don't even bother to watch them.
Yeah, that's another problem is that this all screams of Saudi show.
Yeah.
And so if what appears to be the case happens, we'll have both Money in the Bank briefcases burnt.
Yeah, before the month is
in just
out.
a couple of weeks. One of them for a Saudi show that a decent enough portion of the fans think should not even be taking place.
Right.
I mean, in terms of any kind of human decency. Now, holding the McMahons to a level of human decency, I guess, is sort of that's a weird game, right?
For
because
sure.
When you're happy with the product, you just ignore the
you ignore the
long history. So I get that, but all those things culminating together, and for me especially with AEW coming, I'm just like, you know what, this is
right.
I've had a long time. When I was introduced to the product as a grown up, I had the fortune of being introduced to both the indie product and the WWE product, and I always sort of liked the indie product more.
Sure.
But it was just harder to get a hold of, especially on a weekly basis. You got to work for it, and now we will not have to work for it nearly as much.
Right.
It might not be great. AEW could be a big fizzle.
Right.
But I think it's someone in that chain will have to really fuck up for that to be a fizzle.
That's how I feel as well, and it's fascinating to look at a wrestling product like that in a sense of like, I know there are 5 to 6 names that I know in that thing, and everybody else is a big question mark. But at the same time, like, well, I mean, somebody would have to be really shitty in order for me to walk away from Double or Nothing this weekend and be like, well, that was pointless.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know how that would possibly happen. I mean, if you just look at the top of that card, Kenny Omega is probably the single best in-ring performer in the world. He's my favorite.
Right.
I mean, there's certainly arguments can be made, and in terms of WWE, I think that Rollins and AJ Styles fall into that sort of murky top 5, top 10 world. But I'm very, very excited for Double or Nothing, and I love the TV deal. I love everything that I'm seeing. Anytime I can get a hour conversation that I can listen to with Tony Khan, I'm continually impressed. I mean, he is a huge wrestling fan who also happens to be an excellent businessman. He's like the absolute perfect person to be involved in that, and has essentially limitless funds, right? But he's not stupid. You're not gonna see all the bells and whistles up front. One, because you want to ease into the business and find out what works, but also for wrestling, you don't want to have your big pop right up front. He understands both of those things.
Yeah.
So
and from the sounds of it, the main thrust of AEW on the business end is very much a cooperation between himself and the Rhodeses and the Jacksons.
Bucks. Yep.
Like everybody is involved in the day-to-day, and there is a day-to-day. Just because they don't have a weekly product, they are still day-to-day. They're making, internet content, and they're making sure that the next show, which, is the Saturday, is going to be as big and as great as it can be, kind of thing. And it's fascinating to watch from a business standpoint, them get up and running like this.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see how long the camaraderie will last, right?
Yeah.
We've seen these reports that Pac has left the company.
Sure.
I tend to believe that is a work. But
yeah, no, when it was announced, I think on Friday, that he would not be wrestling Hangman Page for creative reasons, something like that, my first instinct is that needs to be an Adam Page t-shirt. And there needs to be an Adam Page t-shirt in like the Becky Lynch The Man font or the Stone Cold Austin 316 saying, the t-shirt has to say, I also am not wrestling Hangman Page at Double or Nothing due to creative reasons.
Nice.
I think you could sell a bunch of those.
Apparently they had a great match in the UK.
Yeah, and that's fascinating too. The fact that they had a match in the UK and they had video of that match in the UK, and once this one fell through, they're like, well, you know what? Let's just show you the match in the UK for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Interesting move. But the idea of creative differences is certainly going to be there. Just because you're treating everyone great doesn't mean everyone can win, right? And
and the fact that the titles will be based on win-loss records means that you're going to run into some very fascinating booking problems where it's like I can't take a loss because that's going to put me farther down the card from the top of the card than I need to be later. But at the same time, the other guy can't lose either because you see what I'm saying?
I have to believe that it'll end up being a seasons-based situation because
right.
Yes, you're if you discover as a performer that as a competitor in the first 60 days that
right.
you're essentially a jobber, you're really fucked, right?
Yeah.
Because unless you can really climb that mountain, you're in such a hole.
Yeah, you have to convince management to take the chance on you to give you a string of wins to propel you up to the mid or top card.
Yeah. So are there people there that accept the fact that look, they're just enhancement talent,
right?
They're never going over, but who knows? It'll be very interesting to see. One thing what did you think of the new Cesaro entrance music? And I love that he's finally getting that push, but boy, do I wish that it was not with WWE.
Yeah, no, I can feel that completely, and it's much like Bray Wyatt. It's hard to look at a repackaged Cesaro and think, well, how many weeks is this going to last?
Right.
Before he's just on main event forever. I was disappointed that I had completely out of sight, out of mind, forgotten Ruby Riott. Mm-hmm. Since the Superstar shakeup, and then she posted on Instagram yesterday she had shoulder surgery, and she's apparently going to need a second shoulder surgery.
The old Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
double soldier
surgery. But it was, like I said, I was like, oh, Ruby Riott was one of my fucking favorites for the last year, even though she was essentially enhancement talent. Mm-hmm. She was, the heel to...
Oh, they had a great run, yeah. The Riott Squad had an excellent year, just, regardless of win-loss record.
Right, just being able to be in the events they were in was fantastic. And, Liv Morgan has done a fantastic job on social media reminding us all that I'm still here, even if they're not going to put me on TV anytime soon. Oof. Whereas Sarah Logan has absolutely disappeared. Money in the Bank, like I said, there were some high spots in that show. The Seth Rollins AJ Styles match, not entirely the match of high spots I was looking for, but holy shit did I pop for the Styles Clash.
Yes.
That was a great spot.
Yeah, and this looks like your sort of classic situation where this is the first match you're going to get out of these boys, and so they don't want to release everything. Now we have seen that run problems with Rollins.
Well, I was going to say especially with AJ Styles.
Oh, interesting.
He's been in plenty of this is the first of many matches going all the way back to last year with Shinsuke Nakamura where it didn't really pan out all that well.
Yeah, see, I think to Rollins and Ziggler, who apparently made a return, although I did not see it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, it felt completely out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, Wonder why.
Out of all the people that I expected to be jumping Kofi Kingston, Dolph Ziggler was nowhere on that list.
No, and in terms of your interest, high, low,
very low, very low. However, I will give Dolph Ziggler credit. In the next segment, he stole the microphone from the girl backstage that was trying to interview him.
Okay,
which was hilarious because as he's walking away, you've got this shot of her looking at him like, "Can I have my mic back?"
Yeah, that seems to be like a new thing, right?
I've got one prop in this job, and you took it. But he went out and nearly, like, red-eyed in tears, screamed at the crowd about the fact that, Kofi's been there 11 years and got his moment. Well, where's my moment?
Okay.
I've been here almost as long, if not longer. Where the fuck is my moment?
I can dig it. I mean, it's as an angle, it's interesting. I just don't know that,
Bring that fire for sure. But I also I look at this the same way I looked at Kevin Owens. Like, you're not the guy that's gonna peel the title off Kofi.
I wouldn't think so.
No.
After being absent for 6 months.
Yeah, this is a succession of dudes that's like, well, we got to make Kofi's reign as heavyweight champion look good by giving him some good opponents before we. But in my opinion, if anyone's days are numbered with Brock Lesnar, in that case, it's Kofi Kingston.
And I will say, Kofi and Ziggs could make for a good match or a great match. Even. Yep. They have their styles. I think work well. As much as I dislike. Dislike is the wrong word. As much I'm just not into Ziggler. He's a different dude than me.
Right.
But I think he's an incredibly talented dude, especially in the ring. He's a very good in-ring worker, and I think that he and Kofi can put on a classic.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is that with Dolph Ziggler, like I said, he comes out of nowhere and beats up Kofi, and now obviously is going to be in a program for the heavyweight title. It feels like Jinder Mahal all over again.
He should have came back with the name RKO.
Right. Like, who did... Okay, so this guy that before he came back could not win a match to save his life is now going to face the heavyweight champion, and I'm supposed to be invested?
Right. Well, because it's a wasteland. What heels are convincing?
Yeah. They've definitely taken the teeth out of most of the heels. You had Shinsuke could be a fantastic heel, but you've taken the teeth out of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Rusev could be. He proved last summer against AJ Styles in like a 3-week program that he can be a convincing heel, but you keep taking the teeth out of all your heels, man.
Yeah, it's there are no good heels in the company, and that's not to. There are no good heels being written in the company. There are people who are fully capable. I agree with you entirely. Go Shinsuke Nakamura should have been the king of strong style from day one. I don't. They're just. It shows how far back they've been just hoarding talent. And hopefully those days are numbered.
Now I don't know if you kept up with this between Money in the Bank and Monday Night Raw, but the rumor was we would get a new title because they said it at Money in the Bank. Mick Foley's coming back.
We knew something was coming. Yeah.
Mick Foley's coming back with a new title. So the rumor was one of two things. It was either A, going to be what it was, the hardcore title, 24/7, just like Crash Holly used to do, or B, it was going to be a Legends title that Taker and Goldberg would establish at the Saudi Arabia show. And I almost feel like I would have been better with that if it resulted in one of them beating the other, probably Undertaker beating Goldberg, and then Brock Lesnar cashing in Money in the Bank to take a Legends title, which we just introduced, and disappear like he always does. Because now it's a title I wasn't invested in the first place.
Yes.
So I don't care that it only gets defended when you go over to Saudi Arabia, and only by grandpas.
How about that green belt that
Braun Strowman has?
Braun Strowman has, yes.
My buddy Tim brought up a funny thing during SmackDown too, is that they should have continued with these Saudi Arabia shows because Super Showdown, that was the Australia show last year. That was the
Australia show, yeah.
So what they should have done is just continued with the greatest title. Instead of this year being the greatest Royal Rumble, you could have called it the greatest WrestleMania or the greatest and then it devolved into a joke where we were just quoting WCW pay-per-view titles like greatest sold out or greatest bash at the beach.
I noticed Sunday Michael Cole said a show that will rival WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
And then on Monday he said a show that could be as good or better than WrestleMania. I was like, wait a minute. The only change to the script is you defined the word that you used in day one. A word that we did not need a definition for. Shut up, Cole.
So you did watch Monday Night Raw. I
did watch Monday Night Raw.
Did you notice between Sunday and Monday there seems to be a definite change to the narrative of the announcers? There was a lot, especially during the men's Money in the Bank match, and then I heard it quite a few times during Monday Night Raw of the announcers talking about, this is crazy.
I am, if you listen closely to Renee's mumbling, she's not a mumbler per se, but there are times when she's sort of mumbling, and it is hilarious.
Fantastic.
This week was, I don't remember who it was that came out, but she goes, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it was Sami Zayn.
Yeah. Like, it was almost as though she wasn't in character, and she like let her inner thought slip out.
I know.
I was very pleased with that moment.
I think it was last week. I don't remember if I brought it up, but it was either Mandy Rose or it was Alexa Bliss, because it was somebody that Corey goes crazy over, and she was trying to get out the point of like, Corey, why are you going crazy? And he just, shut up, Renee, blah blah blah, and she went, oh my god, and like the audio, you could hear the eye roll, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's good. I do like the commentators.
Yeah,
I will miss them.
for sure. What'd you think of the Bray Wyatt segment this week? As a note, only played on Raw. Did not play on SmackDown.
Okay. I thought that I'm done with these. I thought he was coming out to win the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Vince McMahon.
Okay, fair enough.
What did you think of it?
It's the kind of thing, because it's been a slow burn over the last couple of weeks, that this kind of weirdness I didn't expect to be amped up this quickly.
Yeah, it did come quick, right?
Yeah.
Although,
and it wasn't even like there was a preamble or a setup in this week's video segment to get to the weirdness. It was just weirdness right out the gate.
Right. We're starting to see that character coalesce.
Yeah.
It's so strange how they give these way too much time in the preamble to their characters going, but then once their characters are going, they're like, all right, that history is what you get, everything else
right
out the window, and we may forget that history too.
For sure. I thought the men's Money in the Bank match was had quite a few really good high spots.
It was a fun match, especially considering how asymmetrical you had with the ladder match type characters and the big brawlers.
Sure.
I thought it was effectively done, and I continue to like Baron Corbin. It's very strange.
I enjoyed that Randy took all of the guys who were smaller than him and threw them on the announce table. Like
that was fun.
It's funny that that's a spot for him, considering he nearly killed the Sings with it.
Yes.
But the fact that like he just one after another was just piling them up on that announce table one after another.
It was a good
funny.
run.
It
was.
That I think the spot of that match is definitely Andrade doing the sunset flip over the ladder and bouncing Finn Balor off of that ladder.
Oh, and the way it was set up, it made it look like it sprung on him. So I thought we were going to see Finn catapulted into the ceiling.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. Now, I ran into a huge problem. Going way back to the beginning, when I said it was weird. There were 2 or 3 ref botches right out of the gate.
Absolutely.
And so I thought that was a work.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Another reason why I was so outraged by Brock Lesnar, because like, oh, so those ref botches aren't leading to something. I thought they were leading to something. I thought, especially the second time where the guy gets down to count and then gets up and runs around. And the crowd's
the Samoa Joe match.
So I'm like, okay, this is clearly the McMahons are setting something up. Someone's going to come out and say, ha ha ha, it's been rigged. Yeah, and no, we just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
This is how, AEW, you think you're something? We don't give a fuck. And how many companies in the history of the United States have seen competition and said, oh, we don't give a fuck, and lived to regret it? Lots of them.
I very recently have gotten to watch kind of that mentality have to change. When somebody is on top of the mountain for a while and they're like, oh, nobody cares, we're always going to be here, and then you see somebody start climbing up the mountain and they have to like change gears because okay, maybe we have to try a little bit harder.
Right.
It's always better when you try.
Theoretically, yes.
It's always better when you try.
It's good to step your game up.
What else is there to cover from this week? NXT was really good.
Yeah, tell me about it.
NXT was really good. You got, I think I told you last week you had, Matt Riddle against Adam Cole, baby. And that was a fantastic match. NXT opened this week with the Undisputed Era in the ring, talking about how Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish are going to be in a ladder match at TakeOver for the title with 4 other tag teams or 3 other tag teams. So they're going to win. Okay. And Adam Cole's going to win the heavyweight title against Johnny Gargano. Okay, so they're together. They're coalesced. They're not falling apart.
And they're resetting back to the beginning of this year when they announced that 2019 was going to be the year of the Undisputed Era. They were going to hold every one of them was going to be holding a title.
Right. That led into Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole going back and forth from the stage to the ring and having a pretty good promo. And Matt Riddle coming out looking for revenge with some Cesaro tape on his ribs. Ooh. And that led to the main event, which was Matt Riddle and Johnny Gargano against Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly.
Ooh.
Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly are the best tag team in any WWE product at this very moment.
Okay.
Watching them,
I see you, Mr. Bean.
They are like the Revival 2.0. Like when the Revival was in NXT, and holy crap, were they on fire! Like they were great heels. They had great tag team wrestling kind of stuff. They did great spots, and that's where Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish are. I'm a bigger Kyle O'Reilly fan than Bobby Fish, but this match was fantastic for all 4 people involved.
Wonderful. I will definitely jumble back and watch that.
And it's great to watch Johnny Gargano as a singles wrestler tag up with somebody who he was not in a tag team for a long period of time for, because he still has the capability to switch that from between the Johnny Gargano that's a tag team, like, hey, let's do tandem moves, to the Johnny Gargano who has nobody to depend on.
Yeah. No, he's versatile, and having this long run as he has given him the foundation for that, which is cool.
Yeah.
He tends to fall into that category of the little too facey for me.
Right.
So I have a hard time rooting for him. I'm almost always rooting for the heels against him.
Sure.
But yeah, no, NXT has had a great run, and I suspect they will continue.
I'm trying to think. I think possibly 2 years ago was when I would look at NXT and think, I don't know about this particular class of NXT, because I can't imagine it was last year when you've got Gargano and Ciampa on top.
No, I think it probably goes back to when Bobby Roode's last year. He was the champ.
Right.
It was you had the Authors of Pain, who one of them must be hurt or something, because we haven't heard from them in ages.
Yep.
But yeah, it was Authors of Pain. Those were your title holders, so It was like sort of like, I don't know. This isn't where we want it to be. Bobby Roode was all entrance, and the Authors of Pain felt way too much like a Vince McMahon production in a Triple H series.
Yeah.
So that was when it was waning for me, at least.
The other big news out of this week's NXT, Candice LeRae defeated Rena Gonzalez. Rena Gonzalez, the last time I saw her was during the Mae Young Classic. I forgot how tall she is.
Okay.
She is a very large woman. I would like to see more of her.
Oh, she's out of Texas, right?
She is, yeah.
Yes. She is the daughter of not the giant Gonzalez, but a different... Yes. Yeah, she's a big bruiser and a lot of fun for that women's division, I
would
think.
like to see more of her in the women's division.
Someone more cut out to play the Nia Jax heel role, I think, than Nia Jax is.
I would agree.
In terms of... she seems like she's puts her time and effort into the bodybuilding part of it. I don't know if we get that from Nia Jax.
You've also got the return of Tyler Breeze. Apparently him and the Velveteen Dream are going to go at it at TakeOver.
Okay.
So that'll be great.
Yeah, good for Tyler getting something. Yeah. Something to put on his resume this year.
And the sleeper match was Mansoor against Sean Maluta, I believe it was. It was called the Samoan Dragon. Tons of high spots in that match. Those are 2 guys to keep an eye on.
Ooh, interesting.
Because they are gonna, and then I would say in the next year or so, those guys are gonna they're gonna sharpen their skills, and they are gonna be something.
Got some Andrade potential.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Nice. Thank you for the update on that.
Yeah, no, it's the kind of thing that, once again, like, it's easy to sit down on a Monday or Tuesday night because it's tradition and it's there. But, if you are where you are and you're fed up with spending 3 hours of your Monday night essentially waiting for 15 minutes of something you wanted to see, NXT has got an hour of really good stuff to see.
Yeah, they always do. I have to hand it to them. And I'm sure that after a couple of days, I'll be like, I need to watch some wrestling, and I'll put on the NXT.
Yeah,
there will be a void there for sure.
Yeah,
but and when I think your questions earlier make a ton of sense. We both had spent some time listening to sports radio, and you always heard the fans calling, "Oh yeah, I'm done." And it's like there's always a joke there, like, "No, you're never done."
Right.
Well, I left watching the NFL cold turkey to watch WWE, and I don't think I will cold turkey away from the WWE, but what I will do is if I want to do something else on a Monday, I'm just not going to hesitate.
Yeah.
And until you're giving me consistently good shows, I'm not making this appointment viewing. What am I doing?
Well, and you have a very good point, too. The way I keep up with Impact Wrestling now is through social media, because there's only one or two people I'm really interested. What are you doing with them right now? And it's exceedingly easy to do that with just about every product.
Yeah.
Every wrestling product is to, you don't got to watch 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. You can just pull it up on Hulu and watch an hour and a half of it, or you can just follow Twitter and see the segments that were worth a shit.
Yeah.
And that's something that's worth doing. And that's going back to AEW, because this is their week. This is Double or Nothing. That's really where the Elite have shined. We talked about the Cody Rhodes having that amazing promo a couple of weeks ago. He had a video just yesterday, essentially the AEW thanking us ahead of Double or Nothing for taking the chance on them.
Nice.
Like ahead of time. And it's mostly Cody talking to you, the viewer, looking at the camera, but there's a segment where everybody, on their cell phones kind of, filmed a thank you.
Very cool.
The Jacksons and Brandy and everybody that's going to be a Double or Nothing that you already know about. And I'm super excited. There was a produced promo yesterday that the former Perfect 10 is going to be in the Battle Royal.
Yes. Yeah, we were...
It's Sean Spears, I think is his name
We
now.
were very wrong about him, right? Like he's... And that's why I bought into the, Cody Rhodes, for example, in an interview saying there's only 5% of the WWE talent that we'd even want to have in our company.
Right.
Sean Spears did not seem to fit that mold. So, good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. I'm not sure what to expect out of it. I'm not the biggest fan of his work, but...
Right.
Being in the in that Royal Rumble is fun.
Yeah.
Royal Rumbles are fun. I like that they've created Battle Royal. They created a new set of rules for this one. That's fun.
You were telling me about them, I think, last week, and it sounds absolutely hilariously fun.
Yeah, so I think Joey Janela wins that thing, regardless
so?
of who gets...
I think there's a surprise entrant that we all suspect, but don't have a lock on that may come in, because they're saying that the winner of that Battle Royal will face the winner of Jericho and Omega for the first heavyweight title.
Oh, it'll be the first title
for AEW, and that's not going to happen at Double or Nothing, but it will be established for a show in the future.
Yeah,
whatever their next thing is.
Unlike the WWE, I think we will see some sort of double pop in this show.
Yeah,
it would be cool if one of them was early.
Yeah,
and it would make sense, because with a $50 pay-per-view, they're entering in on what essentially in 2019 is a broken model.
Yeah.
I don't expect that to be the same model 2 years from now.
Sure.
Hopefully not even a year from now, but I get it. But yeah, I could see them in the pre-show making something big happen. And it's, how this 24/7 belt's all well and good, but I don't care which jobber you have taking the title next week. It's not going to penetrate the, oh my God,
not at all.
CM Punk is back.
Right.
News, which is what you're going to get next week.
Yeah. It's like fucking Law and Order.
Boom, 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 boom.
I'm not going to edit that at all.
Okay.
I'm going to leave that big.
We should just cancel the series on that. That's going to be all my. We end the series on that, and the prediction either comes true, and I ride off into the sunset, or it doesn't, and everyone goes, "Yeah, that's why no one listened to that show."
All right, well, you heard it here first. There's our coin flip.
Where can people find you, Mr. Bean?
I'm on the Nerd Radio Podcast and WRAF.com. Wherever you're getting your podcasts, you can also find me on social media at Chizuk Bean. Look for Bean Ambrose, because that's me.
Bean Ambrose, excellent. I like the Samoa Toe sign. Did you see the Samoa?
I've not seen Samoa Toe.
Okay, so that was one of my favorite things. Was there were two signs early in Money in the Bank, and one was this really poorly drawn caricature of Samoa Joe, and right next to it was an equally poorly drawn caricature of Samoa Toe. So you got both of them. Like the tag team of Samoa Joe and Samoa Toe looked fierce in terms of just their cartoons.
All right.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of that. Yeah, it's just a big toe head.
Okay, so if I want to go back and watch Money in the Bank, where in the crowd do I look for that?
Oh, pretty much
that sign.
So just your camera side general.
Okay.
Well, if you're looking at camera side and you see fucking little Petey Steele and Granny Adams in the front row, they're probably like more towards the top of the screen. But in that general, just like right there, boom, boom, Samoa Joe, Samoa Toe. Eventually, the Samoa Toe sign seemed to like by the end of the show, the Samoa Toe sign was near the front. And the original Samoa Joe sign was nowhere to be seen, but it seemed to be two people who both brought their rendition of their favorite
just happened
wrestler.
To be sitting next to each other.
It may have been the same artist.
Shonny, where can people find you online?
And they can find me at come to Instagram at Shonny.constant. Nothing's happening anywhere, things I'm doing right now, but I'm gonna kick that back into gear because man, I'm hitting a slump and it's not good.
All right,
not good.
Is that where you're doing your art too?
Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, that's sort of everything for right now.
All right, everybody, have fun, be safe,
keep it sleazy.
No, that's not how that goes.
Sleazy.
It's not how that goes.
Don't fall into the hole. The hole is covered up.
Yeah, so I don't have to worry about falling in the hole.
Right. So you can just sit back, take it easy, keep it sleazy.
Oh, that's so gross.